Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the FearFans podcast. I'm your host, Don Elmy, and with me is my co host, Nick Muley. And so we're continuing on with the Friday the 13th franchise. Last week we covered Friday the 13th Part 2. Now we're covering the sequel, which came out the very next year, Friday the 13th Part 3, originally marketed as Friday the 13th Part 3 in 3D.
Mm-hmm. Which, if you think about it, at the time when it was released, this was 82 or no, 83. It was part of a popularity line, if you want to put it that way, where several movies, especially when they got to the third sequel or the second sequel, if you will, um,
Right.
they started making like these 3D movies. So you had Friday 13 Part 3 in 3D, then you had Jaws 3D, you had Amityville 3D. Uh, what other Part 3s was also in 3D?
Oh, man. Let's see. Amityville Horror
I
or
already
no,
said that one. Amityville 3D.
yeah, Amityville 3D. What else was there? I don't know. I don't believe House had a 3D. I don't.
I already said Jaws 3D, so I could
Like,
already say,
those are
yeah.
two of
So I
the.
think we might have marked. I think we marked all the other ones that were supposedly 3D.
Oh yeah, yeah. It was weird. The early '80s had like a weird 3D craze. Like, it was very short lived.
It was
It
mostly
just
1983
yeah, for the main
because
part.
of that reason.
Yes. Hey, Paul. Thank you for tuning in, and same to you, Leon. How's it going? Yeah, and it's crazy. It's my second live show in 2 days. Yesterday I was covering. Yesterday I was on my PS5 doing a live stream of Kingdom Hearts 2, and yeah, like that was a lot of fun. That another trip down memory lane.
Yeah, for me, I mean, I haven't done anything obviously since Friday, so actually, I just came back from exercising, so it was definitely good to be getting back into shape. I mean, not a live thing, but at least it gives me something to do. Not to mention, I've also been making more of my presentations for my show. Which, by the way, some
Yeah.
people have actually wondered how many like slideshows have I been making for my show lately. You might find this a little bit hard to believe, but I'm already up on slideshow number 85. I'm
Oh,
almost up to 100. So, the amount of work that I put in, it's it's been absolutely insane. I mean, I'm talking weeks, if not already now a few months of work.
oh yeah. You've had projects that have been going on for a while, man. Oh, yeah, Billy. Yeah, he's trying to ask when you will join me while I'm like live streaming Kingdom Hearts. Let's see. The thing is, Billy, I don't think Nick has the PS5. Like they've
I
been.
don't.
Yeah, because like tons of people out there have a hard time getting a hold of one. I mean, so like, but now they're finally putting them out more out though. But it gets pretty competitive. I mean, I'm lucky I even got a hold of mine.
But I will
But
say this though, I mean, it should be something that Billy would probably be interested in checking out. I mean, for stars and Don, you know this all too well. I mean, I do have a Steam account, and
mhm.
currently we have not made this official yet, but we actually are trying to put together a gaming show here on this network. I don't know exactly when that's going to be because it's still kind of being tested. Jeremy's been testing it out. Donald and we've tested it out ourselves. Clarissa and Brad, I did on one occasion. So eventually we're going to put something like that together. I just don't know when. But does the PS5 at all work on for Steam, or at least as far as you
uh,
know?
I'm not sure. All I know is that it was listed on there for as far as live streaming was YouTube, which I have. I was able to set that up easily and just whatever I record on my PS5 can link to my YouTube, and also Twitch, which I don't have an account for. I know nothing about Twitch, but I mean I know it's a
Well, I mean,
popular. I mean
go ahead, go
I
ahead.
know.
I'm sorry.
I know it's a popular stream service, but I just haven't never used it. But yeah. Oh, here
Well, you
let's
are
make
at
it
the
quick.
very least broadcasting also this on the Things Network Twitch page. So at least you're getting some kind of taste out of it.
Yeah. For request reactions, you don't mind that videos are an hour? I'm sorry, I'm not sure what you're talking about, Billy.
Yeah, I'm not sure what he's talking about. And also, before I forget too, because I'm sure some people have been wondering. Jill has kind of been taking a break from the show. I know from what Don told me, she was going through some real personal issues, so we're not sure when eventually she's going to be back, but hopefully real soon. So, but as of right now, I don't know. I can't say exactly, but it's probably going to be just me and Don and any of the other hosts from our network for the next couple of weeks. So, only
Right.
time
So
to tell.
yeah, I don't know all the details about what's going on with Jill, but whatever it is, I'm wishing, hoping the best for her.
I texted her like I said right before we started. I did text her a few nights ago, but haven't heard anything. So hopefully she's doing okay.
Oh yeah, I'm hoping she's doing all right.
Hey,
Hey Sarah.
sorry, Sarah. Good to see you.
Yeah. So yeah, let's start talking about the movie. So yeah, this was released, like I said, in 1982. Like we've had a Friday the 13th movie coming out like every year at this
83.
point. Yeah, with the exception of 83 and
Oh, I
84
thought it
is
was
when
83 it came out.
No, this one came out in 82.
Oh, it was 82. For the longest time I kept thinking it was 83.
No, you're thinking about
Those are the
Jaws
other
3D.
ones.
You're thinking about Jaws 3D. That came out in 1983.
In Amityville 3D. So yeah, you're right.
It's all right. But yeah, then that's when they put the first of several lies as far as like the titles. Like the first lie was 1984 when they released Friday the 13th, the final chapter, which no, it's not the final film. Bunch of liars.
Well,
and then
you have to admit it was originally supposed to be.
Yeah, then they put New Beginning the very next year, Friday the 13th, 5,
Yeah.
New Beginning. Yeah, that along with Jason Takes Manhattan that was part 8, which no, he did not take Manhattan. Another lie. But anyway, I'm getting that.
Hey, first off, Adam's here. Great to see you. Part 3 was my first horror flick I saw back in 1984 in Commander's USA Groovy Movies, and it led me to who I am. Guess my identity. Great to see you, Adam.
Wait.
Oh.
Just not never mind. Nick is thinking I want lottery numbers next.
Wait, my name is right there. Nope, okay. You're not. I was going to say you're not Facebook user this time, Adam.
New beginning with Jason Sells taking someone's identity of Jason. Oh yeah, that's the one and only occurrence where it was a copycat killer. Spoiler. But yeah. Anyway, so yeah, like the 3D. Like I never actually saw the movie in 3D until just recently because I'd like the new one that the Blu-ray collection that I own. Like it features like the option of seeing the movie in both 2D and 3D, but it doesn't come with 3D glasses. Like what's the point then? If you're going to include a 3D version, why not have 3D glasses? Luckily, I saved a pair from like when I saw like that new Super Mario Brothers movie that was released in 3D. So I know. So now
well, yeah, so did you have to use, if I could ask, did you end up using like a spare pair of 3D glasses to watch Friday the 13th Part 3? Did it work?
That's what I'm saying. I used these from. Sorry. That's what I'm saying. I got to use these from the AMC theater. So yeah, and fairly efficient 3D, even though some of it was pretty awkward. Like when they're constantly doing this to you. Like there was that yo-yo scene, the scene where that guy Andy was like using that yo-yo, like moving right towards the screen. Like,
yep, that it was supposed to generate that 3D effect, which was, I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, maybe it was a good shot, but it was not good for 3D.
Yeah.
Oh, you got one here from Adam. Smart idea, Don. Did it work? Yep. See, everybody's asking you the same question. First me, now Adam. What's up, Jeremy?
Yes. These did work. I was like feeling iffy at first because like I didn't know how well these would work on like a smart TV that I got, but yeah, it turned out better than I thought it would. But yeah, I should mention then, Nick, Friday the 13th Part 3 is actually how I learned about Jason, not what he did, but the fact that he wears a hockey mask and just his name. And I was 6 years old at the time. Maybe I should explain. Yeah, maybe I should explain. It was 1998, and it was a Friday night. I was with my dad. Took me to Blockbuster, which was like a routine for me because this is when the time when I started. Yeah, because this was pretty routine for me back then during my childhood, because this was like when I was always wanted to learn more and more about movies, like just picking up copies, looking at them, remembering each one of those movies. And so we were looking around. I wandered around the corner. It's in the horror section. I picked up a copy of Friday the 13th Part 3. That I saw like this shadow behind a shower fit and like that cover. And but I looked at the back of this, and I saw an image, like a still shot of man in a hockey mask that was grabbing a woman in a van, a woman in a blue shirt. And my dad caught up to me, like, and I said, "Dad, look, hockey mask." Because remember, I was 6 years old at the time. Because remember, I was only 6 years old at the time. I didn't get the whole concept of masked killers back then. And he said, my dad said, "No way, Donald, put that back. Put that back. We're gonna find something else, bud." And I said, and as I was putting it back, I got a glimpse of a name in the description that was on the back of that box, because this was VHS, by the way. But
Good
yeah, I
old
looked at
days.
yeah, but so yeah, the name caught my attention on the back of that box, and I asked my dad, "Who's Jason?" And he was like, "I don't know, bud, but yeah, just put it back. We're gonna find something good. We're gonna find something else." So I'm pretty sure, yeah, like pretty. I mean, I'm thinking he knew who Jason was, but didn't want me to learn about him just yet. But looking back, that I can't say I blame him. I mean, Jason Voorhees, a masked killer who keeps on coming back and slaughtering anybody who enters his campgrounds. It's like, how do you even explain that to a 6-year-old? Yeah.
See, Sarah makes a good point, however, though. In the 90s, it was more of the scream mask everywhere. And that was true. You must have just, as I would probably put it, when you found that, you were probably just at the right place at the right time.
I didn't see a scream mask, though. It was the hockey mask on the back of that box.
Well, no, what I'm saying is, yes, it was mostly the scream mask that was everywhere. But since you saw the Jason mask, that's what I mean. You were probably just at the right place at the right time, because understandably, the scream mask was far more popular in those days.
Well,
And
Sarah's asking. Wait, Sarah's asking, do you get bored with Jason? He just stabs people with various objects. Seems kind of boring for murders. Well, not always. There are other methods that he uses to kill. Like there are a couple times where he crushed somebody's head with his bare hands. There was even in the next film, like, because he doesn't kill anybody in the shower, like as the cover of this, the movie's cover would imply. Another lie. Yeah, but that does happen in the next film. He actually crushes a man's head against a shower wall. So
Yep.
yeah, sometimes he doesn't always stab. There was actually one time where he used actually a couple of times in this film where he used a pitchfork. And
yeah, he used a pitchfork. He also used this was in part 7. Didn't he also use like a weed cutter at some point? Or like a weed cutter?
Buzzsaw. That was in part 6.
Buzzsaw.
Or no,
I
sorry,
thought that
part
was
7.
part 7.
Seven. Yeah, it was part 7. But yeah.
How do you examine the 6 o'clock news to a 6-year-old? Adam, I actually texted you, so when you have a chance, get back to me. Just and Sarah here, Nick is trying to go green. What?
Because your green screen is probably like glitching.
It always glitches. For those that haven't seen all the other shows that I've done, I have a notoriety where I kind of disappear into the green screen. That's just a practical effect.
Yeah. Dude whose head got crushed in part 4, final chapter, lives 40. Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, really? Wow. Oh, I didn't see that. I didn't read that. I mean, I didn't actually fully read it until now, but that's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah. So, like
I'm just going to say, what I was going to say quickly was, I'm sorry, Don, was that it's crazy to think that story you just explained. Man, 25 years ago, and you still haven't forgotten that. You got a good memory there, Don. That's really impressive.
It's something I've always been able to do. Ever since I was little, like whenever I went to a Blockbuster, I was so fascinated with film that I pick up any copy that I picked up. I look at it, I just remember those images. I remember like the titles of those movies, even though I was too young to see those back then. I remember them years later, and then finally, when I was like 14, allowed to watch R-rated movies, I would go back to those movies that I remember and see what those were like.
Either way, that's
Yeah.
unbelievable. Either way, so you've done your homework.
Oh, well, I try. And he used
Jeremy
various
makes
other
it
items.
easy.
Yes, that was in Jason X. That was one of the most brutal deaths he's ever committed, but or kills that Jason had ever committed. And yeah, and also we should mention one of the main things that this film is known for, aside from the whole 3D, is that this is the first film where the first Friday the 13th movie where Jason wears his iconic hockey mask. And I think one of the main reasons why I
I'm
think one of
still
the main
listening.
reasons.
Give me a second. I'm going to grab.
Oh,
Continue talking. I'll be back in just a second.
okay. Oh, you can still hear me?
Yeah, I can still hear you.
Okay. So I believe one of the main reasons why they changed it from burlap sack to hockey mask is because they wanted a whole like a new mask for Jason to wear. Yep, there you go. That's the replica.
Yeah, I was going to say, I know I've worn this previous occasions, but to give this a much better description, yes, this is meant to be the mask from part 3, because when it first shows up in part 3 and he wears it, it's in fully mint condition before, eventually it starts getting cut up, it rots, it starts kind of discoloring in later movies. So
Yep.
this is basically as it appears for the first time this movie, and in mint condition.
Yeah. Because, yeah, like Jason, the mask always keeps on decaying more and more and more. But
Well,
yeah,
also from the fights.
And from the fights as well. And so, yeah, I think the main reason why they changed, because in the second film, it was a burlap sack that he wore over his head with an eye hole cut out into it. And I think the main reason they changed it to hockey mask is they were trying to look for a mask that was easier for the actors and stuntmen to wear. Because as we mentioned before in the last week's episode, is that actors and stuntmen were having issues wearing the burlap sack because they had to tape it. The crew had to tape the burlap sack to them to keep that mask from falling off, to keep that burlap sack from falling off. But it kept pressing against the actors and stuntmen's faces to the point where it rubbed against their skin and created these rug burns around their eye areas. So I think that is the reason why they changed. They didn't use the burlap sack anymore. So they decided what could make him scary and intimidating, and they thought hockey mask.
Adam just texted me because I told you I texted him. He just sent me a picture of his part 3 mask. Check this out.
Oh, wow.
Barnstein, as he called it. So it has a little bit more. It has a little bit more markings on. Well, actually, no. Well, yeah, this one has a little bit more markings than this one does. Mine does, but it still looks almost exactly the same. Although his might be a little bit more aged than mine, because I got this one. Well, this one I've had now for about since about 2016. I don't know how long Adam's had it, but it's still really impressive that he sent me that. So thank you very much, Adam.
Nice. And here. Sarah asks, what is his motivation for killing now? Aren't most of the people related to his murder dead now? It's not just his murder, it's also his mother's murder. And he was basically what Jason is doing is carrying on his mother's revenge mission, because Jason's mother, Mrs. Voorhees, was killing those who he believed was responsible for his death. But not only that, but also trying to keep the campgrounds from Camp Crystal Lake from opening up again. And that means killing anybody who came into that area. And so that's what Jason is doing. Not only did he avenge his mother's death by killing Alice in the last movie, but he's continuing his revenge spree by taking out just about anybody that enters his territory. Anybody.
Yeah, I was about to say, he's kind of territorial in a way.
Yeah. Anybody who enters his territory or in the woods surrounding Crystal Lake. And so, that's becomes unfortunate for the teens in this movie, because they're vacationing in a lake house that one of the main character, Chris, that she invited her friends to over at their family's lake house, which happens to be on Crystal Lake. And Jason is like using the barn on that property as a resting spot to heal from his injury in the last movie, with taking that machete right through his shoulder. So he survived that and just was just resting there in the barn house, but then he's interrupted.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say this literally takes place from where part two left off. So, but another thing I forgot to mention, we forgot to mention too, by the way, that in addition to changing the mask for Jason, they also
Yeah,
changed like his they also changed his clothing too. That's the one thing I couldn't help but notice. Like, I was like in part two, he kind of looked like like a deformed farmer. In this
yeah,
movie, it's like not just the mask, like his entire appearance changes clothes wise. Now he looks more like almost like he's wearing like mechanic type clothes or
mhm,
whatever. I mean, they're like black clothes that he's wearing. I'm not sure
yeah,
really how to
and also
describe it.
yeah, I would like to know how they would explain like how he's bald now because in the last movie he had hair. Like
Probably just could have
here,
cut it off somehow. Oh,
but
and yeah,
where it's like with a machine, I don't see how that's unlikely. Like though it looks like total baldness, like he completely lost like hair to the point where it doesn't grow back. Like if you see, you know what I'm talking about. Hang
right,
on,
right.
let me look at
Um,
part two.
while you're doing
Jason.
that, I'm actually just going to catch up on some of the other comments because we kind of have missed out on a few of them. Angelo's here.
Oh,
They
yeah,
already
hello.
have the trailer for the Meg 2. Oh, damn.
Yep,
Why didn't you tell me?
I thought you knew about this, man.
I
The Meg
didn't.
2? Yeah. Yeah. Continuing on with that, see, because I read those books when I was in high school.
Yes,
So,
I've been wanting to see the sequel ever since we saw the first one. We got to watch that in the theater.
oh my god, I can't
And
believe it's been almost 5 years already now.
yes, it has. Jeremy
My
says
god.
the DVD of Friday 13th Part 3 doesn't show Jason killing the kid with the mask, putting it on. He could have sworn there was a version when it shows that. Is there?
I'm not sure. It could be a TV version because I've seen like a lot of movies that have been put on TV where they throw in deleted scenes. Like
Yeah.
like with Halloween 2, they did that a whole lot. Like extra hospital scenes and that.
Mm-hmm.
They might have added scenes in like a TV version for part 3. Um, let's see. I know there was a deleted ending where Jason kills the final girl, but they didn't go through with that. Uh,
Right, right.
yeah, hockey mask. How Jason gets the hockey mask is he took it from one of his victims. The prankster of that teen group, Shelly. He's always going around playing tricks on people with all kinds of props that he's got.
Trying to be basically the comedian of the group, which
Yeah.
obviously his friends don't like.
No, I mean there were
Blood
like not that many. What?
I think Sarah says the blood stains almost look trial. Sarah,
Yeah.
they're not supposed to be blood stains. That's actually, I mean, and I'm not just saying this for this prop. In the movie, it's designed to look. It's basically supposed to be a hockey mask, so it's just simply part of the designs. They're not supposed to be blood stains. And
Right.
Adam also just revealed his mask. His buddy made his. That's awesome.
Oh,
It's custom made.
oh, sweet.
And
And
Billy was bringing this up from earlier, which you didn't understand. He was talking about really don't mind reacting to a video that's half hour, 40, 50 minutes long.
not at all. I have done that a few times in the past. So, yeah, like I actually do have a one request that a couple of people have been giving me to react to Avengers Endgame Multiverse War, which is like almost an hour long. And the whole idea of it is like, have you seen Avengers Endgame, Nick?
No, I haven't.
Oh, okay. Well, it's like I don't want to spoil it for you or anything. I wish I could explain it now, but
I'm so, as I said earlier, I'm so caught with so many projects now that I haven't been able to really watch a lot of things. Once I get a lot of these projects done, I'll be able to get out and watch more.
but, uh, but yeah, if you see the movie, you would get it. But anyway, Pamela Voorhees must have a long revenge spree. Oh yeah, which
Yeah.
included taking out Kevin Bacon in the first one.
Yeah. Yeah. And Camp Crystal Lake is his territory. You're absolutely right.
Yep.
Um, Implied Jason no touch in part 3 is what I know what he's talking about.
What? Wait,
You know,
what?
ah, it's a reference to, because they're supposed to be teenagers, don't go to lover's lane, don't have underage sex, because Jason will get that kind of stuff.
And yeah, don't
You
do
should
drugs
know
either.
that.
Yeah, I mean, Friday 13th Part 3, this includes like a few of the dumbest characters of the franchise because there was like like the scene where Chris and Andy and Debbie are going to pick up Vera at her they're in the suburbs, supposedly near Crystal Lake, and then Shelly comes by behind them and like does a little prank with a mask. But then when they go up to see Vera, and like because Vera's supposed to be Shelly's date for that trip, and Shelly puts his mask back on for some reason. I'm just like, dude, you're going up to meet a girl who's supposed to be your date. Why would you put a mask on? Like, come on, haven't you heard? It's like, does the term "good first impression" mean anything to you?
Yeah, really. And any of the other kids try to correct him on it.
Oh yeah, and then there was that stoner couple who were who in
Hippies.
the van because like when the group like picks up Vera, they like, hey wait, the fan's on fire, a whole bunch of smoke is coming out, so they run in there, and it turns out it's Chuck and his girlfriend like smoking from the bongs, but several things wrong with that. It's like, first of all, you're doing this in a van with the windows open, smoke is coming out, it's broad daylight. People could see that and call the cops thinking there's an actual fire, and they come to you, they find out it's drugs, and it's like, yeah, seriously, these characters are dumb.
Well, that's just, you have to remember though, that sometimes they're basically like hippies. That's just typical hippie culture. So you can't really call it stupid if that's just part of their culture. Even when weed was illegal at that time, it was just like with Woodstock, they all smoked the stuff, but yes, it was illegal, but everybody done it back then. So that's just typical hippie culture.
Yeah, I guess. But yeah, one thing that stood out for me in that scene, the interior of that van, I noticed like several stickers of like rock groups like around like which is typical. Like in the 70s and 80s, people like always put, when they have a van the way these guys did, that Dodge, what was it? It was like one of those Dodge minivans from back then.
A lot of people use those back in the days.
Yeah.
Nowadays, you rarely see them. I mean, there are vans like that, but with the vans that exist now, either they were made like 10,
Yes.
15 years ago, but
Yeah.
a lot of them also too usually have windows to them. They don't really make the ones with no windows anymore.
Well, what I mean is that people with vans like that back then, teenagers, they always put stickers of like music groups that they like, and one of them that stood out for me was the Grateful Dead one that was on the back of the driver's seat, and I thought, Grateful Dead. The reason why that stands out is because my dad's a huge fan of that group.
Grateful Dead is a good band, so, and I can see why. I mean, those guys have been popular for decades. So I, even at that time, yeah, I can kind of picture already how they were still popular at that time.
Oh yeah, like whenever I'm in a car with my dad, he often puts them on.
I got a few songs of Grateful Dead.
Nice. Here, Jeremy's saying, put projects aside, go live life, Nick. Yep, see, take his advice then, Nick.
Jeremy, I'm doing this for my show and also for the network. Don't forget.
Yeah. Well, I think what he's trying to say, Nick, is just like find some kind of a balance, because I was trying to find a balance. I mean, I got a whole lot going on myself. I'm going to the gym more, and now I'm doing like live stream like game plays on my PS5. Like I just been doing a whole bunch of Resident Evil games on there, and now I'm doing Kingdom Hearts. Because fans requested it. So,
well, I will say this.
Yeah.
Because I am starting to put some balance. I mean, not lately, but I promise you that there is going to be some balance. Because first off, like, you guys have seen that I hang out with Don a lot, along with some of our other friends. We do activities together. I don't completely keep myself committed to everything. However, as far as like my projects that I'm doing, like all these presentations I'm putting together for Nick Files, I will be taking a break from working on it because currently I do have a list of all of the presentations that I'm going to be doing for the next couple of weeks. Can we get that in writing? What the hell is she talking about?
Like, yeah, I guess your promise to find a balance.
But no, I was just saying, no, I have a full list of what I have left to do as far as the slideshows. I mean, I have another list to deal with, but this list, as soon as I finish this one up, I'm taking, not that I need to take a break from doing the show or any of these shows. It's just that I will have enough slideshows for several weeks. So to the point where I don't have to worry about it or work on these. So as soon as I'm done, I'll definitely have a lot more open time to give more balance to myself. So I'm almost there though. I promise. I would say next couple days I should be done. Balance is very important. Don't make work, show, network your life. Jeremy, like I said, I am starting to create a balance slowly but surely. I trust me. I try not to make it, completely committed to it, but I'm almost finished with the work anyway. So getting close, but I am starting to take like I said earlier, I was just exercising earlier today.
Oh, here. Paul's saying last good Marvel movie in my opinion. Oh, he's talking about Avengers Endgame. Well, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, which we just saw, that actually I loved. I've considered that the best one since Avengers Endgame. But I will say this, there are several Marvel films that have not been great. I was pretty disappointed with Morbius, and let's see what else. Yeah, Multiverse of Madness was not as great as I thought it would be. So there have been some bumps in the road lately, but I'm not giving up on the MCU entirely.
Yeah, I haven't really watched a lot of those other than what we saw just a few nights ago. Yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
Mm-hmm. Here, a lot of acting in he's talking about Friday the 13th Part 3. Yeah. I can agree with you on that, Jeremy. Like there were a few moments where it's just like what is going on here? Like there was this one scene where what was her name? I'm trying to figure out
while you're looking that up, I was gonna say it's typical with such slasher movies during the golden craze. Usually they had a lot of terrible acting to it, but that's what also gave a lot of the humor to those movies. You had terrible acting, which gave the humorous side of things. And then of course you had a lot of the murder scenes, which that's why a lot of people love those movies.
Yeah, it's the murder scenes that would more than make up for it because of the shock factor it throws in. And let's see. Oh yeah, there was that character. Her name was Chili, who was Chuck's girlfriend. There was stoner couple. Her acting was horrible in the end, where she comes across Shelly, thinking it's another prank that his throat was slit, but nope, his throat was slit for real by Jason off screen. When she realizes this, she's like running around screaming, "Oh my god! Oh my god!" Her acting was horrible.
She just kept running back and forth instead of getting the hell out of there. Like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah, and the door flies open, and because of the wind, and I'm like, consider that a sign, Chili. Run the hell. But no, she turns around, runs in the other direction, and Jason grabs a hold of her and impales her with that fire poker. Yeah. So
I was gonna say, I will admit that killing scene was pretty cool though, with the fire poker going through.
Yeah. Oh, here.
The scene that got me was when the guy putting the stick under the clothesline and he stuck the stick right into the camera. He even looked directly at the camera to make sure he had the right angle of the stick.
Oh my god. Yeah, to do that 3D effect, where it looks like the end of the stick was going towards the screen.
Can you imagine if the stick actually went through the camera, like it went through the lens and it actually went into the cameraman's eye? That would be a real 3D effect then. You took someone's eye out.
For all I know, that could have been one of the takes that they didn't use.
They could have poked somebody's eye out with that thing.
Yeah, exactly. He wanted to make sure he wasn't taking anybody's eye out. Yeah, it was that couple in the beginning. What was his name? Who ran that grocery store? Harold and Edna, I believe their names were. But this is showing Jason walking around. He doesn't have that burlap sack anymore. He's unmasked. But they kept his face concealed in the when he was walking around the background by clothesline, whatnot. But
his legs, I think, again, but also kind of keeping him shrouded in shadow.
Mm-hmm. That's right. And so, what was I going to say? Oh yeah, that couple they run that grocery store in the beginning of the film, and characters that I didn't really care that much for. Both of them just seemed terrible to each other. And the part that grossed me out though was when Harold was inside the store feeding the goldfish, and then he's like, "See, why aren't you eating? It's good." And then he tries a bit of that, and he reads the ingredients, and I'm just like, I'm like, oh god, that is disgusting.
Dead fly eggs
Yeah,
or
that's
whatever
one of
that
the.
was. Yeah. I was going to say, I don't think you're supposed to eat that stuff.
Yeah,
It's called fish
so
food for a reason.
so dumb. Then he goes around like eating food that in the store that's meant to be given to customers. Like he was like eating a donut, and also taking one drink of Sunny D and then putting it back on the shelf. It's like you could have. It's like, do I even need to explain what's wrong with that?
I actually have to. I'm just going to make this as a quick reference. I actually had something like that happen at my store just a few days ago. Not even joking. I mean, not exactly the same way like you see in the movie, but it was in the back of the building. And long story short, like one of the things I have to do is we use because I'm part of produce. One of our biggest things we always have to keep manage to make sure that the banana rack is full. But we also
Right.
have to get rid of the bananas that are bad, like that are brown and soft to the touch. Those ones got to go. So I'm taking it to the back of the building, and I'm about to throw them out. And then one of them, it wasn't like fully brown, but it wasn't mushy or anything. It was still like in bad shape. And
Right.
this employee came up, and she's like, I couldn't understand. She spoke mostly Spanish, so I couldn't really understand too much. It's like, she's like, you throwing it out? I was like, yeah, these got to go. She takes the banana out of the shopping cart that I'm working on. She unpeels it and starts eating it, and I was like, I mean, I didn't actually say this, but I'm like, what? Like, what
Yeah.
the hell? I thought, and after, I mean, I quickly forgot about it, but the last thing I thought was as I was walking away, I was like, okay, cool. That was disgusting. But I don't
Yeah.
even think you're supposed to take it because first off, yes, it's expired, but you're not supposed to be taking kind of like in the movie, you're not supposed to be eating stuff that is meant to be for selling people unless you buy it yourself.
Yeah, but
So,
here's the thing: what Harold did was worse in the movie because he put the Sunny D back after taking a sip of it, which could have been bought from a customer.
well, yeah, and I know that there's a difference there. I just find some similarity just thinking of that scene and what I went through a few days ago. It was
Hmm.
it was weird. It was just the bottom line was it was you see in the movie and what I experienced was two employees who think that they could just simply eat whatever they want on from a grocery store.
Yeah. And speaking of grocery stores, yeah, here's something that like that just made me go like, what the I was over at Jewel Osco just like back on Sunday. I was like getting some stuff. I was restocking my pantry, and on the way out, I came across this in one of those fridges where how at the cashier, the checkout, where they have fridges, where you could just pick up a water or a soft drink or whatever. Take a look
Yeah.
at Pepsi's latest idea: marshmallow
Wait,
peep flavored Pepsi.
what? They're
Yeah, just
actually making something like that?
take, take a second to take that in. Marshmallow Peeps flavored Pepsi. I I looked at this.
No, thank
I took
you.
I took one look at this, and I'm just like, you cannot be serious.
That is
I
like
mean,
worse when when they made like the blueberry Pepsi. Remember when they made that?
yeah, I'm trying to forget it, but
Yeah, I'm trying to forget it too. I already forgot the taste of it, thankfully, but I still remember when that was out.
yeah, I mean, also not on top of that, marshmallow Peeps are usually popular around Easter. Easter's over.
Yeah, that was. They're obviously late with that. That is just weird.
That's so crazy. Oh, I don't get it. But anyway, back to the movie. So yeah, like one part that was like one of the first like jump scares of this is like that rattlesnake part. Remember that when Harold found like one of his pet rabbits like in the vegetable aisle. I wonder how that rabbit was able to get up there onto that shelf. That's anybody's guess. But after Edna like catches him and then tells him to put, so I quote, put that filthy animal back where it belongs. Then, well, hold off on the comments for a second. Let me explain this.
Oh no,
Then,
I'm not clicking them yet. I'm just reading them.
oh, okay, and yeah, I thought you were going to display a comment, but anyway, the he puts the rabbit back and like finds all the rabbits inside the pen dead. then a rattlesnake comes up, and you could see like string attached to it, like that was being used to pull it towards the screen. That's like the first of 2 times where I've noticed that. The second time where I've seen a string used, which which was noticeable, was when Jason was killing what was his name, Rick, like crushing his head until the eyeball pops out towards the screen. There's a string attached to that eyeball, just that was being used to pull it out. Like,
I was gonna say it was obviously a dummy that they were using, but also like I was always wondering like how exactly did they do that scene, because that was it was kind of hard to describe. Like it looked like not an easy shot to like create that kind of effect.
Don't think so. They'd have to like shift the focus between his face and towards that eye popped out of the screen like super quick. That could not have been easy.
3D effect again.
Yeah. Oh, here. Things men will do to avoid laundry. Hey, I will say this, not me. I live, I live alone, so I have to do my own laundry. So
you know what? I still live at home with my parents.
I'm not one of those men, so.
Well, I'm just going to say this. I still live at home with my parents, and obviously I still got to do my own laundry. And not because, my parents tell me to. It's completely by choice because I have to, like anyone else.
Right.
Remember they had reformulated Coke? What?
Oh, they did that back in the 80s. They called it New Coke. Yeah, they also poked fun at that in season 3 of Stranger Things, which you need to get caught up on.
But, there's a lot of things I need to get caught up on.
It's like you watch, like if you had to just watch one episode a week, like then you'd have been caught up like in no time. And anyway, so they were back in the 80s. They experimented with Coca-Cola. That tried to make the company Coca-Cola would try to put out this better flavor tasting Coke called New Coke, but everybody hated it. They also
of course they would.
They poked fun at this in Futurama. Something loud outside my window. Anyway, they poked fun at this in Futurama. That episode where the Slurm Factory.
Oh, Fry and the Slurm Factory. I was actually just thinking of that episode earlier.
Yeah, they said we'll market it as new Slurm, and then when everybody hates it, we'll reintroduce Slurm Classic and make millions. They pretty much did the same thing with Coke. Yeah, like Coke. That's why they call it Coke Classic.
Is it? I mean, I just thought of it. You kind of wonder where that new Coke came from, because as the Slurm Queen once explained, honey comes from a bee's behind. Milk comes from a cow's behind.
Don't even.
I love that episode. I gotta be honest.
It's like I just love how that parodies Willy Walk on the Chocolate Factory, a childhood gem.
Crystal Coke. What?
Oh, I think you mean Crystal Pepsi. The clear Pepsi.
I'm sorry, but to me that sounds like a combination of Coca-Cola and crystal meth.
It is not what you think. It's like Pepsi, only clear, like no coloring to it, but it actually tastes the same. But it tastes the same. I'm just not too crazy about it.
Like giving the appearance of Sprite. Hey, Chantel, good to see you.
No, hey, thank you for tuning in.
So Crystal Coke, was it supposed to look like Sprite or 7-Up, since you said it was supposed to have no color to it?
It's clear like Sprite, but it still tastes like Pepsi. But I don't think having it clear just really adds much to it. So I wasn't too crazy about it when they re-released it a few years ago.
It does not taste the same. It messes with your mind. Maybe there is some crystal meth mixed into it. She said it messes with your mind, so kind of makes you wonder.
Well, they used to put cocaine inside of Coca-Cola, so
they did, really?
Originally, that's why. Why do you think it's called Coke?
Of course. How should I not know that?
Very small doses of it. That was this was over from the very beginning of Coca-Cola, before I think cocaine was made into an illegal narcotic. But then ever since then, they've just been experimenting with different ways to make Coke. I mean, several of those have been successful, like cherry Coke and whatnot. But anyway, yeah, let's get back to this. We're going all over the place.
Yeah, I know. You know what? It happens, Don. It happens sometimes.
Right. So yeah, like I said, Jason is like recovering from his injuries after taking that machete hits from at the end of part 2, and so. But before he does that, he visits that grocery store where he kills off Harold by hitting him with a cleaver, like on his chest. He goes down, and then Edna's looking for Harold, and then comes across a rat, which is introduced as another 3D effect. Like the rat like walks towards the screen, and then Jason comes up behind and like stabs her right through the head with her knitting needle that he somehow got a hold of her knitting needles. Yeah, but
he always gets a hold of these items somehow.
Yeah, he always finds a way to get a hold of anything he needs.
Chantel. Oh, sorry, I was trying to click on that. You click on. I, on the other hand, can guarantee I'm not awake because of Crystal or Coke. It's because I had to pee. It is, again, every time that she's watching any of these shows, it's already really late. It's like 2-3 o'clock in the morning out in South Africa.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
That's right. And so, yeah. So, like Friday the 13th print there. So this is where, Chris and her friends are gathering at that lake house, and she also has a surprise visitor there. Her estranged boyfriend named Rick, and he part of this whole thing is not just like a weekend getaway for her friends. It's also like a sort of a therapy for Chris because she had a run-in with Jason a couple of years before. So this was like before like the events of part 2. But anyway, so yeah, she ran away from home after having an argument with her parents, and then Jason came across her with a knife and started attacking her. She blacked out and then woke up at home like nothing had happened. And then ever since then, she had trouble returning to that lake house. So that's what part of this weekend was about for her and her friends. Like, it was like sort of a therapy for her.
Well, here's a question for you, and this is actually a really good one. If Jason, for example, as we saw him in part 2, when he had the hair and whatnot, and he wore like the farmer's backwoods type of outfit, because this is her talking her story when she was younger, she ran away. He was wearing, again, that mechanic clothing and was already looking, you can see, I mean, you can't see his face, but you can see he's already bald. So the question is, where exactly, I guess, did not necessarily like as far as change of clothes go, but like like when did his hair grow? And like he was bald, his hair grows in part 2, and that obviously took place. It probably even took place before even the franchise, like even before the franchise began. So like, where in between did he like grow hair and then he's back to being bald again?
Yeah, that's the thing. It doesn't look like he actually cut his hair. It looks like natural male baldness. That's what it looked like. It doesn't look like the result of a haircut. That's the thing. He had that in her flashback, but then has hair in part 2, which takes place 2 years after that. And then in this new film, he's bald. He has bald again. And I'm just like, what is going on?
I would have originally said if there wasn't that backstory, I would have also assumed maybe it was just also because of aging or whatever. But the fact that, again, this story probably, takes place even before the first one does. Again, he's bald, he grows hair, and then he's back to bald again. So it doesn't really make a lot of sense. Although Sarah makes a good point. Got tired of maintaining it, possibly.
Yeah, I just don't get why they have that inconsistency. Yeah, but let's see what else did I want to get to? Oh yeah, there was one thing that's different in this film is that one of the characters, Debbie, is pregnant with her boyfriend Andy's baby, and so yeah, they're shown together. They're shown together a lot in that film. And another part that was dumb is that when the kids are on the Fix picks it out underwater, right? But so yeah, there another dumb scene I just remembered is when they were driving in the van towards the lake house, and cops are following them, and they freak out because they have marijuana in the van, and so they decided they're saying, "Oh, okay, throw it out." And they're like, "No, they'll see it." And it's like, "Okay, we gotta get rid of it, eat it." So they start eating actual like putting like marijuana. I'm like, are you freaking stupid?" And then Andy hands it off to Debbie, like, "Here, you want breakfast?" And she's like, "No, we're pregnant. Remember?" It's like you're just about to put your unborn child at risk by
Yep.
having your pregnant girlfriend ingest marijuana. Like, are you out of your mind? Seriously, these characters are dumb.
Well, at the same time, when something like this is going on, especially when they hear cop cars coming, I mean, it's like, yes, you only have so much time to think about what to do, but yeah, at the same time, though, it's just these kids obviously did not come prepared.
Nope. Like it's like they're like and like and Debbie like is pregnant, and like, and that's the first of two times where they may potentially put their baby at risk, because the second time comes later on in the film where Debbie is taking a shower and Andy's like walking. It, he does this thing like walking on his hands, like I don't know, just I don't know why he does that, but anyway, Andy goes up to her like she's in the shower and I say, "Hey, do you want a beer?" And she's like, "Yeah," and I'm like, again,
No, you don't drink while you're pregnant.
Again, putting your unborn baby at risk. Okay, like seriously, these kids are clearly not ready to be parents.
Nope.
That much is obvious. If they're really this stupid, then oh my god! Like, do I even need to explain? Yeah.
If you
So
could, and if you were able to, I'm sure you would be a good expert on it.
yeah, I mean, that's why I mentioned before. These are some of the dumbest characters of the series at this point.
Yeah.
We have all reached the age to talk about stupid teenagers. Yes, very much so.
You know what? That's why I always say, for example, like, not that I've done anything like that, but I always say, like certain moments of my life, the shocking secrets, if you will. Yeah, I'll never participate in ever saying this on a show. I don't know. There's a statute of limitations for some of the dumb stuff I've done when I was younger. too many cops now. Is that a confession? Oh damn! Now I made a confession.
Oh my god. Yeah, but yeah, so yeah, as you can probably imagine, dumb teens getting killed off in movies. This is another prime example of that. And yeah, like so, Jason, and also I should mention there's also three characters, motorcycle gang that causes problems for at first when what was his name, Shelly and Vera were going to the store to pick up supplies, and they had an altercation with the motorcycle gang, three members of a motorcycle gang. Let's see, led by this man, by a character named Ali, his girlfriend Fox, and their friend. What? Trying to figure what was his name. I can't remember his name.
I cannot remember everybody, but while you're looking
Loco.
at up, Robert here says,
no, wait, it was Loco.
1982 people were as aware about harmful stuff for babies. Yeah, you know what? He's probably right on that.
Man, it's like, oh, so they're aware that marijuana will affect the baby, but not beer.
That's even worse.
Yeah. Future millennials. Yep. So anyway, those three bikers, like yeah, Shelly like accidentally knocks over their bikes with a car, and then they punch out their windshield, and then they just drive off. They manage to track them down somehow to that to the lake house and try to empty out their the van's gas tank. And they were like and Fox she was worried about it, but Loco and Ali were just like, no, nobody's gonna get hurt, okay? Like when they say so, nobody's gonna get hurt, don't believe them.
Yeah, nobody's gonna get hurt.
Yeah, don't believe them, because I had a feeling they were probably going to use that gasoline to start a fire on that property. So,
and usually when you're using gasoline and you're attempting to set something on fire, yeah, usually even if they are staying true to what they say, somebody is definitely going to get hurt or even killed. That's just the reality, because unfortunately that's happened in real life. They always think no one's going to get hurt, and guess what? Somebody does. And they pay the ultimate price for it.
Not only that, but it's considering how they're surrounded by a wooded area, they could have started a forest fire unintentionally.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So not only endangering the lives of those teens, but also anybody that fire comes in contact with as it goes through the woods.
Billy's got a question for you.
Is it okay if I ask something not related to the movie? Sure, you can.
Whatever it is.
Yep.
So while
So,
we're waiting, you continue onwards.
oh yeah. So yeah, Jason ends up killing those three off because they came inside of the barn where he was resting. So yeah, Jason, as you can imagine, he doesn't like being disturbed when he's healing from his injuries. So then Jason ends up killing Fox first when she was wandering upstairs, got killed off screen by a pitchfork through the neck. Then Loco goes in and investigates, and then comes across her corpse, turns around and comes across Jason, who impales him too.
Here's your question.
React to borrowing Blockbuster's Die Hard knockoffs by Bad Movie Bible. It's in two parts. Okay, here, you know what? Let me take a picture of this because this is the only way I'm going to be able to keep track of these requests when they're on the podcast. So it's hard to like go back through like a couple of hours of footage to look through. But yeah,
Good idea.
Now that I got record of it, I'll check it out.
And then also Sarah was asking, why didn't the SWAT police get involved?
Well, police were unaware that this was going on because remember, this was also and also the fact that this was 1982 where they didn't have cell phones back then, and nobody can call the police right away when something like that was going down.
Well, cell phones were starting to come out, but that was when they were like expensive as hell.
Oh yeah,
you had to be ultra rich.
Well, yeah, there were like those big ones that like super rich people, like people in the military, were using at the time. But
like those
nothing
big box-shaped ones.
Yeah, but nothing like this today.
No, but that's how they were. And Robert makes a good point. Brick phones. That's a good term for them. Brick phones. I never even thought of that one. Good thinking, Robert.
Yeah, like the phones we have today. Like, but
we don't know how far the cabin Evil Dead was from Crystal Lake.
Good question. Yeah, like because Evil Dead came out around that same time. But and as far as like cell phones go, like I'm sure my parents remember like when cell phones were first starting out, those big bulky ones. And like when I showed them that I was able to download movies off of Apple and just like watch movies, like whenever I want on here. And I asked my dad back in those days when they had the big bulky phones, did you ever think that phones would become like this? And he was like, no.
Wow, Billy's full of questions here. Going back to the pitchfork death, was that one of the deaths cut by the MPAA?
They cut several things in the franchise. Yeah, like I wouldn't be surprised if they cut a few death scenes out of this because there was like part 7 was supposed to be the most graphic of all. They had all kinds of deleted scenes, like parts that were cut because they were too gory. But I wouldn't be surprised if they cut out a few things in this one as well. Like
they probably did that. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
They did cut out one scene, which was meant to be an alternate ending, where Chris was decapitated by Jason after he was unmasked. But they wanted Chris to survive this, so be the final girl, like we usually see in these '80s horror films. So,
well, furthermore, too, I think the other reason why they cut some of this was also because, again, typical of such movies, especially at that time, if they left a lot of it, it would have most likely gotten an X rating. So they probably cut a lot of it out in order to obtain an R rating.
Yes, and I think I actually have a still shot of that scene. Here, let me pull it up.
While you're doing that,
doing
that, I got more. There's more comments. They're really coming in now.
Here it is.
Billy here says, "Oh wow,
yep, this was
part. He does have his mask off."
Yep, this was a frame from a deleted scene. This was like where they didn't have Chris put the axe right through his the side of his head, which would also put a clip, like a cut into the top of the mask, like that chip that we see that remains constant with the hockey mask throughout the film series. But anyway, instead of that, there was this where Jason takes a machete and decapitates Chris, but they, like I said, they cut that out because they decided Chris should survive this. He looks like a demon. Yeah, well, that's part of Jason's deformity because,
from Buffy.
From Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yeah.
That was a huge show from the 90s.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Sarah Michelle Gellar and also my famous doppelganger, David Boreanaz.
I have not really seen Buffy the Vampire Slayer, even when it was. I know what you're thinking. That's another show I need to watch too. I mean, I've probably seen parts of it, but I've never actually watched like the full series.
Oh man, like you can watch it on Hulu now. Like they have all the seasons until 2005 when the show went, or 2004 I think when the show ended. But wish they released uncensored deaths. Yeah, they could have. I think like if they released like uncut versions like they did for the first Friday the 13th, they released the more graphic death scenes, like especially the part where Kevin Bacon had that arrow come out through his neck and it showed like more blood gushing out, like in the added cuts that were cut out from them originally. But yeah, it's like why couldn't they do that with the rest of these?
A large group of missing persons and no one notices. Many of those kids were affluent as well, but Robert's like affluent or influenced. The only game those old phones had, going back to the phones, was a snake. A snake? What?
The snake? I'm sorry, Sarah. I don't get it.
Wait, I gotta go to this comment here with Robert said, Slapstick, get in there and watch Bubby.
Yes, please do, man. You have missed out.
Okay. I know I missed out, but I gotta say that's gotta be one of the best. That's one of the best comments I think I've ever read.
I'll lend you my Hulu just so you can see it. Seriously.
You're working his nerd credentials. You kind of are, since I'm sometimes known as Wikipedia.
Oh yeah.
That just made my night. And no, Billy, I've not seen the Buffy movie either.
He hasn't seen the movie. Chris doesn't come back in later movies. None of the final girls come back with the exception of Alice Bardot. Oh yeah, no, that part is true. Wait a minute. Chris is an exception though. Like if you think back to the original, like one of the opening scenes, the hospital scene in final chapter, it shows her very briefly, like being hugged by her parents because she was taken to the hospital like right after the events in part 3, and part 4 takes place the same nights, like where Jason is brought in, like what they think is his dead body, but nope, he's not dead. And there was a bit where if it's like you blinked, where it's like if you blinked, you missed it. But it showed a girl in a blue sweater, which had to have been Chris, being hugged by her parents, who were like saying, we were like sobbing, like there was no speaking dialogue for them. But yeah, that's like one Easter egg.
More like a cameo, and I was gonna say I could have sworn there was like a cameo from one of them. Hey, Nikki's here.
Nikki,
one love Night Watchers Paranormal. Don, I'm going to be honest with you, what the viewers have been getting, because I don't know if you know this about Robert. We've been getting quite a couple viewers now from Australia, because Robert's also from Australia. So it's awesome to get nice to get a couple viewers from the land down under. So always appreciate it, guys.
Oh yeah, soon. And we were talking about this earlier, but soon we're gonna have to get into some Australian horror films. Like one in particular was Wolf Creek.
Yeah,
that one in particular, and also another film that I mentioned, Rogue, which was made by the same director, which was inspired by the true story about that giant crocodile. Yeah, we're gonna have to get into those.
Don't forget Babadook.
Oh yeah, the Babadook. Yes, that's another one. Does Jason kill Chris in the beginning of part 4? No, he doesn't. The movie, it starts off where he kills a couple of hospital staff and just walks away. He just returns to find more victims in Crystal in around the lake, and which he comes face to face with Corey Feldman, and eventually in that film. Yeah, that's one of the biggest names of that. Corey Feldman. Also, who was that guy?
He was in Lost Boys. He was in Back to the
No. Wait. I'm not talking about Corey Feldman. I know that he was in Gremlins. He was in Lost Boys. He was in The Goonies. Yeah, I'm very familiar with him.
The Burbs with Tom Hanks, which I still need to show you that movie. We are watching that movie this summer, Don. We are, whether you like it or not, you and I are watching. It actually has a little horror thrown into it, so we might even be able to talk about it on the show. But we are definitely watching that movie. You will love it.
The name just came back to me in final chapter. Now, Corey Feldman, also Crispin Glover, who was mostly known for playing Marty McFly's dad in Back to the Future. And let's see, he was also in Willard, another horror film.
Mm-hmm.
What's your favorite movie? That is a good
Oh
question.
man.
I'm
Oh my
torn as
goodness.
far as favorite horror film. It's definitely Alien, but as far as favorite movie overall, I can never decide between let's see, Forrest Gump, Lord of the Rings, Return of the King. Let's see what else. Oh yeah, Shawshank Redemption is another great one.
Yes,
Uh,
which I'm going to next weekend, by the way, the actual prison of where Shawshank was filmed, Mansfield Reformatory, or Ohio State Reformatory, as it's better known.
yeah, let's see. There was another favorite, Avengers Endgame. Let's see, The Dark Knight. That's I remember seeing that in theaters back in 2008. Man,
My favorite movie would have to be, and I probably said this on the show, but I'm willing to say it again because obviously a lot of times we get a lot of different people that weren't on last time. I was reading that too. How's Don go? Okay, so Jeremy, let me explain to you about this one. If I got a billion projects, yes, but this is certified. This is certified. So Don, I'm certifying this one. So that's an important. That's gonna be a project of its own. Is get Don to watch that movie.
yeah. And like a few people asked me what my favorite zombie movie is, and it's definitely Dawn of the Dead, the original one from 1978. But the
Legendary.
remake, yeah, but the remake in 2004 isn't half bad. So I do give them props as well. But
So,
yeah, direct
um,
flights to. Wait, what?
oh, oh wow, check it out. Yeah, Sarah, come visit us.
Oh yeah, yeah, we
And
would love to.
and if you know, we could show you around. And I know she's watched some of our other shows here on this network. We might, if you like Sarah, I mean, we could even set up a few investigations while you're visiting.
Yep. Oh, and
Jeremy. Oh, don't give me certified, certifiable, maybe.
and also, I'm sure like a lot of you have noticed this in previous episodes where we covered Friday the 13th, but I wore something just for the occasion here.
Of course.
Yep. Camp Crystal Lake. Just had to get into the spirit.
What else was there in the comment? Oh yeah, Robert said this earlier.
What?
Wait, it is pizza, Sarah.
Blasphemy! Blasphemy!
You're not from. Wait a minute, she's not from New York, right? I can't remember where she said she was from, but you know, there's that bitter rivalry between New York and Chicago when it comes to deep dish pizza. But
Yeah.
I was gonna say about what Robert said. Wolf Creek, what happens when you get your start playing with dolls on a children's show?
Oh.
I'm not sure how to answer that one.
Yeah.
You guys like
What do you
on
guys
a pizza?
pizza? I mean, usually I just throw in just cheese pizza. I'm not like that. Like I don't throw in much special. Occasionally I'll throw in onions and also a few times bacon bits, but other than that, I'm not a fan of putting anything on pizza.
For me, I mean, I like it plain too, but I also like having it with pepperoni and you have the chance like bacon, for example.
Yep.
Usually some of that good stuff. But you know what? Okay, I'm sorry to go off track, but I'm saying this because Jeremy's on. Don, next time, like when we're in Jeremy's area, he has this pizza place that's like literally like the halfway, even though it's not halfway, it's like the halfway point of like Chicago, New York style pizza. I am telling you right now, it was one of the best pizzas I ever taken. And Jeremy will agree with me on that. You have to try this next time when you're out with us in his area. Yeah, Ole's Pizza, 10-pound pizza.
What?
Yeah, I'm not joking. It is like this thick, and like the first time I bit into it, I thought I was having a meltdown. Like, oh my god, where the hell has this been all my life? It was so damn good. You got to try it.
Yeah, except thing is, I'm starting to diet now. Like I'm trying to cut down on a whole lot of things. Like I haven't drinking pop in like almost a week now, and also like for dinner tonight, all I have is just like mainly steamed vegetables. So I'm being serious about trying to get myself in good healthy shape. Yeah. So,
Well,
oh,
even
here,
with diets,
my
we always
arteries are.
have called
Oh man,
well, well when it comes to diets, we always do have every once in a while a cheat night. Make that your cheat night.
yeah,
Yeah,
and
see?
and I have now I'm trying to make good on my gym membership, but now my muscles are like my arms are super sore from doing those workouts about a few hours ago. Yeah, but
Well, my limbs have been hurting too because again, I just when I was exercising earlier, I ran. I didn't run up exactly. I walked and ran 16 laps today, and I did my weights last night.
oh, did you? Nice.
Yeah, I
But
did. So I'm already on a good start.
yeah. So anyway, back to the movie. So yeah, Jason continues his killing spree after being disturbed by those bikers. He's just like, okay, these guys aren't gonna. If people aren't gonna leave me alone, I'm just gonna go ahead and slaughter everybody. That's pretty much what Jason's mentality was. And so he continued on with starting with Shelly. Like he was playing a prank on Vera by coming up out of the water while she was at the dock with a hockey mask on and a spear gun. And actual spear gun too, as we will find out in a little bit. And in the movie, yeah, that is. I don't know if it was actually really in real life, but anyway. So yeah, he goes wandering. He goes wandering into the barn right after that, and so that's when Shelly gets killed off screen, and Jason takes his hockey mask, finally putting on that iconic hockey mask, and kills Vera with that spear gun. Yeah, that was another 3D effect. The spear going towards the screen. Yeah,
And going
because
right into her eye too.
yeah, that was pretty brutal. Because Vera, she seemed like a great character who I felt like didn't really deserve to die. Like it's like sure we've got idiots in this movie, but she was like one of the exceptions.
She was kind of quiet. Like she was kind of because like when you see in a lot of these movies, and not just the Friday the 13th movies, like you see these films that were made in the early to mid 80s and some also in the late 70s. You kind of had almost like that high school kind of college group. So like you had like the teenager, you had like the cheerleader, you had the popular kid, the handsome kid, the jock, yeah, of course, like the comedian or the dork of the group. In this case, like with her, she was kind of like the quiet girl of that group, like the one that
Yeah.
didn't really partake in a lot of their activities, was kind of more on the serious side. So like yeah, she was kind of like the quiet girl of the group.
Mm-hmm. That's right. And then Jason makes his way towards the lake house, decided, and then offs Andy and Debbie. Andy was like getting the beer for Debbie. He was like walking on his hands and like back and forth. Then he goes to get the beer and like still is walking on his hands like back to the shower. And I'm just like, how are you how do you the hell do you have that beer if you're walking on your hands?
He obviously was practicing.
How is he? Like, how is he? Is he like holding the beer with his feet or something? Like, how does that work?
Only idea I can think of is maybe he was holding it with his mouth. Maybe
He didn't.
Oh, that's right. No, he did. It's been a while since I've seen that one. I can't remember.
Because he didn't have any beer in his mouth when Jason brought that machete down onto him, sliced him in half.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so so Debbie finishes the shower, is expecting and said, you know what, I changed my mind. I don't want that beer. And I'm just like, yeah, for your baby's sake, good.
Yeah. Now that's the first smart thing I've heard from her.
Yeah. And so yeah, this is like the first and only time I can think of where Jason actually killed a pregnant woman. I don't think he knew that she was pregnant though. Like she wasn't really showing or anything. But yeah, I think that's the real victim. The biggest victim of this film was that unborn baby. I was just like, man.
Though it was more of the chest area that she was killed, but still,
Yeah,
it still results in the death of the baby in her.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, she went back to that hammock to read Fangoria magazine. It showed an article about of Tom Savini. Yeah, showed it his work, and it showed I think 30th anniversary of Godzilla.
25.
What?
25 years of Godzilla, I think.
25 years of Godzilla. You're right. Yeah, that in there. I'm trying to figure out which issue that was.
I've been looking for that issue ever since because it does kind of make sense because this was 1982 And that was a few years after when Fangoria began, which was 1979. So that was this was around the time when Fangoria was releasing their first magazine issues.
Yep, that's right. And then
I have one of them.
And so yeah, I got a couple of them myself. Yeah, I have like that one from like I think it was like 2013 and another one from 2016. But yeah, so yeah, she's reading the magazine and on that hammock, and then blood is dripping down on there, and she's like, "Where's this coming from?" She looks up and sees Andy's corpse up there, and like another 3D effect where you see blood coming towards the screen.
And it seems like that's kind of a nod to Kevin Bacon's death because it's kind of similar. The only difference is obviously this is a girl, and also instead of going through the throat, it's through the chest area, but it's very similar case where like how Kevin Bacon noticed blood on his forehead before he was eventually killed.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and so then the last people to go, I believe, was the stoner couple, Chuck and Chili. Like Jason like cut the power of the place, and like Chuck was like making popcorn, and there again another 3D like where like popcorn, and this time it's like popcorn flying towards the screen. It's like really, they were like really. I was thinking, man, these guys are pushing it. Like seriously,
they are.
They seem to like take any opportunity they can to remind you that it's a 3D movie.
See, looks like we're not the only ones that are kind of in stiff condition right now, Don. Went bowling for the first time in 12 months yesterday, so literally a year. Yeah, that will do it to you it will do it to you after you haven't exercised in a long time. So I'm feeling that too.
Ending it on Final Nightmare. Oh, the Final Nightmare, I believe, is Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. No, we're not wrapping it.
Okay. Yep.
With Freddy versus Jason. Yes, that's right.
And yes, you do have to practice. He's right because he's got his tournament coming up in Las Vegas, Nevada. So he's got that. That's something he does almost every year. So I know he does make a good. Oh, I'm sorry, Reno. I kept thinking it was in Las Vegas. Yeah, it was Reno, Nevada.
I see. Yeah, and keeping off with the Freddy vs. Jason. I think after that we're gonna like take a break from the whole slasher, like because there are other movies for summer that I want to cover. One of them is definitely Piranha, like because that's the biggest Jaws ripoff. So which I believe you still have yet to see, Nick, right?
Piranha. Oh, okay. So I actually have seen like Piranha 3D. I've just never seen the original one.
Oh, yes. The 3D one from 2010. I remember that because I was starting college at the time when it was released, that very weekend in August. But yeah, the one back in 1978, that one I actually am very fond of. It's like Steven Spielberg loved it, and right when Universal was about to sue the guys who made Piranha, but then Steven Spielberg said, "What? Nope, I actually like this one, Universal. Let's leave this one alone." So yeah, Spielberg is fond of that film. Then I feel like that's worth diving into. So I watched it when I was a teenager, and I'm just like, wow, this actually is very unique. And Joe Dante, who directed Gremlins, The Howling, and among other things, he directed it.
The Burbs.
So, the Burbs.
He directed The Burbs too.
Yep. Small Soldiers. Let's see, The Hole, which my cousin Allie was in. That independent film. So. Yeah, the man's done great work.
It's talking Piranha, not Piranha Island. Okay, so yeah. No, I was just going to see what Jeremy was saying. Every year he does this. It'll be his 22nd year. Okay, so yeah, this is why I kept thinking it was Las Vegas. That was last year. I didn't realize this time it was going to be in Reno.
Oh yeah. So yeah, Friday the 30th Part 3, like that. They just, like I said, they're taking every opportunity they can to remind you that it's a 3D movie by having things flown at the screen. And then, so when the power goes out, as Chuck and Chili are making popcorn, and so Chuck checks out the basement, fixes the fuse, but then Jason appears behind him and throws him against the fuse box, electrocuting him to death. Then Chili,
I don't know why, but I found that death in particular kind of funny, even though it's not supposed to be. But I don't know why. Maybe it was just the way how he screamed. I really don't know, and it sounds weird, but it's true.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know why. I really don't know why. I'm not lying. I'm still trying to answer that question myself. I seriously don't know why.
Yep.
And oh geez, similar to Death by Stereo and Lost Boys. Oh my God, Jeremy. And to confuse you even more, it'll be in Vegas next year. So probably next year, Jeremy. I'm probably going to say in Reno when next year it's actually going to be in Vegas.
Man. Hang on, let me open a few of these. Look at the tab. I'm trying to find that image of where here. Where is it? I specifically put down Friday the 13th Part 3 and Jason, but they're showing Jason like from different movies. I don't get it.
What are you trying to look up?
Try to look up this one image where it showed Jason like where it first showed like him like wearing the mask. Like, but I don't know. This internet's just making things a lot more complicated than it should be.
While you're looking that up, I actually got to ask him since Jeremy's watching. I just messaged him, but I just thought, I'll just ask him. Jeremy, do we know if Greg's doing a show tonight or what's going on with him tonight? Oh wait, he's messaging right now.
Good question.
I don't think he says he doesn't think he is.
Oh, okay. So we can go on as long as we want.
A little bit longer.
Okay. Let's see. Where is it? Yeah, I forgot to. wanted to put up an image of Jason when he where's the mask? Hang on.
So are you trying to look for
here?
Jeremy put the same exact message down with the word "think" wrong. So you're trying to find a picture of when he puts it on, or
just this one particular image, but it wasn't coming up, so forget it.
You know what I sometimes do, Don. This is just a recommendation, but for future.
So this is what he looked like. He was bringing that. Yeah, he has his arms raised up because he's bringing. This is the moment where he got killed Andy with a machete. So yeah, there was that shot.
What I was gonna say was, Don. This is what I sometimes do. Is best thing if you ever need an image like that, from a particular movie, you can't find it. What I always do is I usually will just take a snapshot of it from the film itself and just make a copy and just have it put in documents. So you could always just take a snapshot for the movie if you can't find the image you're looking for.
Yeah. So then we're down to Chris and Rick when they come back to the house and find things that seem out of place. They find burnt popcorn. So yeah, the popcorn that Chuck and Chili were making, but nobody's there to tend to it. So yeah, it burned. And so they go around. Rick goes outside, gets caught by Jason. That is his head crushed. Then it shows that cheesy eye popping effect. Yeah, that cheesy eye flying through the screen. In fact, let me get an image of that, just because looking at it now, it just looks silly.
It's silly, but I'll still say while you're getting it up, for those who haven't seen it, viewer discretion is advised for a few seconds.
It's not, I'm not showing the eye flying out or anything, just the image of what it looked like before, because it looks like.
Well, yeah.
I'm it's not going to be explicit. I wouldn't. No, I'm not putting explicit imagery on this podcast.
Well, no, it's still a good shot. It's still a gory scene. It's not. You know what I mean? While you're doing that, Robert was asking this. Oh yeah, see that's the dummy that they're using.
That's the dummy they're using. It looks like his the hands are actual hands sticking up, but yeah. Other than that, the rest of it looks fake. And also, you can see it's on his eye right that right here. You can see the string coming out. So yeah, they really couldn't hide that well.
So Robert was asking this, saying, "Why does he wear a hockey mask to a summer camp?" That was something we were talking about earlier. Robert, it was because, well, you explain it, Don. It's your show.
Yeah, they decided hockey mask. They felt like that would be the most intimidating mask for Jason, and because they wanted a mask to replace the burlap sack because from the second film, because the actors and stuntmen were having issues with the burlap sack because they had to have it taped to them, like the burlap sack taped to them to keep it from falling off. And so it was constantly rubbing against their face. And so all that the burlap sack rubbing against their face caused rug burns to form around their eye area. So they had to go change like the mask for that very reason. To like, and a hockey mask, wearing that's will create issues like that. So
of course, also explain how he got in the movie form, because again, we've had people coming and going. Explain also in the world of this movie how he got it.
He got the hockey mask after he took it from one of his victims, Shelly, the prankster, who was, he had all these masks. Shelly had these masks and props that he was using to play pranks on people. And so when Jason came across him in the barn, man, when he cut Shelly's throat, he took the mask and decided to use that to hide his disfigured face. Because, one of the things that Jason was mistreated for as a kid was being disfigured. It would due to what I believe was hydrocephalus.
More like deformed than disfigured, because usually disfigurement is usually from like actual like injuries like that occurred. Deformities is more when you're born with it.
Right. Yeah, that's good call. Yes. But
and
so Jason was always ashamed of showing his face, so that's why he wears the something to hide it. So in this case, from this point on, he was wearing the hockey mask.
Swedish chef style, real hands, false head. That's a good way to describe the dummy that they were using.
Yes, that's
Rug
right.
burns no longer on your knees. And you know what? I gotta say, the fact that they also changed it to using this instead of the burlap sack, wearing something like this is obviously much more comfortable and also certainly much more easier to breathe than wearing a burlap sack over your head.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, Chris is the only one left. Yeah, like she runs around as like finding dead body after dead body around, and like come when Rick's body comes crashing through the window. Then Jason comes up. Like I believe that was the first clip I've ever seen from that movie. Like I came across it somewhere when I was a teenager, but yeah, and then so Jason is chasing Chris around and like goes upstairs, and Chris like immediately fights back, like just knocks over a thing of books down onto him. Like when he tries coming up the stairs, that takes him out briefly, but then goes to the closet, and her position is given away when she screams after discovering Debbie's corpse, and so takes the knife that Jason had left inside of Debbie's back, and then uses that to defend herself against Jason, stabbing him in the hand and then stabbing him in his knee. And so Jason's not too happy about that. Chases her into the at first she tries to escape inside the van, but little does she know that, like I explained earlier, the biker gang had taken the gasoline out of that van. So had to drive, and like it's like stopped right when she was on that wooden bridge. But then she turned her right. When she realized, oh wait, yes, okay, she had like a reserve tank. Yeah, I wish a lot of cars now had reserve tanks in case that ever happened.
I also noticed something else too, Jason, that you really don't see in the later movies. I mean, you didn't really hear too much of it either in part 2, but every time that Chris was fighting him, and when she was actually able to hit him, I think it might have been the only time like you actually heard like Jason make noise. I mean, you do hear him grunt and also yell out in pain. You don't really hear that in the later movies or even part 4. It's the only time you actually hear him make sound. Other than when he was, like the flashback sequences of when he was a kid. But this was like the real only time you actually get to hear him make noise.
Yeah, it's like as the movies progressed, he just became less and less human.
Yeah, in this movie, this was probably that. I mean, part 2 to 4 was basically like when he was at his most human side, and like the fact that he was making noises. It's that, and then he also had like heavy breathing, like when he was getting really mad. I mean, that was probably as human as he ever got in part 3.
Right, because as the series went on, his endurance increased. He was able. It's implied that he feels pain, but he just usually ignores it. He just keeps on going, and he has like this superhuman abilities, like over time, like for when he grew into adulthood. But after part 6 is when he became more and more powerful.
Right, to the point where it was just nothing to him.
Right, I actually enjoyed got the gang members. They kind of deserved it. Well, yeah, the gang was that those bikers were up to no good, to put it lightly. Most cars do have reserve tanks.
Oh, they do.
Oh, yeah, some do, just not as many as I would like.
Really hear it in Manhattan.
Oh yeah, grunting and groaning. Yeah, but then Chris gets the upper hand temporarily on Jason when she knocks him unconscious, and Hank ties a rope around his neck, drops him down to hang him, and of course that doesn't work. He just grabs the rope, lifts himself off, takes his mask off, and she realizes, oh, that's the man that attacked her like a couple years ago. So,
and he makes that grunting noise too. He makes like a grunt type sound after like when he's about to put the mask back on. So again, it's one of the few cases he makes noise.
That's right. And so, yeah. Oh, where's that image? Okay, here. So, yeah, Jason gets himself down, and then Allie, the leader of the biker gang, snaps back into action because it was showed him being bludgeoned before with that wrench, but that didn't kill him. It knocked him unconscious. Regained consciousness and tries to fight back Jason, and it goes about as well as you would expect. Jason has his machete back, cuts Ali's hand off, and then just hacks him apart off screen. Then, while Jason's distracted by that, Chris grabs an axe and then puts it right into his head. Here, I think I have that image here. Hang on. Present. There it is.
Yep, that's the one, and that mark remains for the rest of the series.
Yes, the mark on his head and the mask too. The mask has that chip in it now where that axe had hit, and so it's like the one thing that's one of the one thing that remained consistent as far as throughout the movie. There were a few inconsistencies, but that's one of the main consistencies.
The mark of Jason, Jeremy, that's a really good comment there. And for example, like I said before about the mask that I got, this one obviously again is as it's shown in part 3 in mint condition. You can get a version of this mask with the crack in it too. So they do sell them. And I'm just going to say this really quickly. I'm not going to, of course, reveal the actual price of like how much these are, but what I will say is whether you get this one or from like when Jason gets the marking, gets the cut or gets other markings from other movies, I'm actually glad I waited to get one of these masks because 10, 15 years ago, these were like $3, sometimes even $4 or even $500, like when they made them. Yep. As much as I really wanted them when I was a lot younger, now that enough years have gone by, I'm certainly glad I waited because now that price number has dropped dramatically. You no longer have to go on those like websites, like private sites to order these. You can get these now on Amazon. I think they probably even sell them on eBay. And I don't want to reveal the price, but the prices are unbelievably cheap, like more than you could possibly imagine. So if you ever want to get one of these, whether you want to get this one in full condition or the one with the crack in it, you can get it for a much more valuable and reasonable price.
That's right. And so,
yes, Jeremy, you could always make your own mark if it doesn't have it. I thought about it, but I'd rather keep this in good. Obviously, I'd rather keep this in full condition. I don't want to also end up making that choice and then all of a sudden I do it incorrectly.
That's right. Yeah. And so, yeah, Chris finally puts Jason down for good in this film, but there is a dream sequence that occurs after this when right after she gets out of there, she goes in a canoe, and this like references the ending of the first movie, and with a bit of a twist to it. So yeah, she wakes up, she's like spooked by noises surrounding her. Like one of them, I believe, was like a duck, like in the water. She gets spooked by that. Like looks around, but then sees that Jason appears to be alive and like without his mask on, and inside the boathouse, trying to get to her. He breaks down a door, and she sees him like here.
It's like all bloodied.
Right here.
Yep.
Right after taking that axe to the head. So yeah, this is the clearest image of Jason unmasked in this film. So yeah, like again, the baldness here, inconsistent with what we saw in the part 2, where he had that full head of hair.
Except now he's got that deep cut on his forehead.
Oh yeah, he's always going to have that as the series goes.
Yep. And it's like it becomes a scar eventually.
Yeah, eventually. But then, and everything, and then she tries to get her canoe unstuck after it got stuck in some branches, and she frantically tries to get out of there. But then she looks back, nobody's there. The door did not bust down or anything. But then
like a hallucination.
And if that's not crazy enough, here's what happens here. I just had to show this.
Yes, okay. I know. Hey, Irene. Good to see you, Irene.
Hey, Irene. And this is like probably the most random, out of nowhere thing that they could show in this movie.
Yeah, it's the opposite realm.
Yeah, Jason's mother, Mrs. Voorhees, rising up, has her head back on, and then
head back intact.
Yep, and then goes after Chris, brings her in the water. This is a reference to the ending in the first movie where Alice was on the canoe, and then Jason, as a kid, when he just comes up and just drags her into the water. But this is obviously like a hallucination that she had,
or a nightmare.
Yeah, hallucination, nightmare, whatever you want to call it, because this just wouldn't make sense. Like, how would Mrs. Voorhees be there? She's been dead this whole time,
and her head is back intact, and almost like she's to the point of decomposition. When this, if that looked like it would have been at least 2 years or so for that type of decomposition to take place on her. So,
her severed head was shown in part 2. That was like 5 years after her death in the first movie.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the thing. And also, in the first...
I'm sorry. Look at Robert Road.
Yeah.
Drugs bad.
Related to the Hills Have Eyes guy. Oh, he's referring to Jason Unmasked.
No, he's referring to not the original, but the remake of The Hills Have Eyes, Pluto.
Yeah, that's what he's saying.
He wears like similar clothes like that, except of course he's got hair in that one. But I think he may have also. I think Jason is kind of. I don't want to say it, but let's just say I don't want to. I know Jeremy doesn't care about spoilers. I know you do, but I'm just gonna say, let's just say there's a character that you haven't seen yet that kind of looks like Jason in Outlast 2, the game. Would you still need to play?
Hey, my fans got me playing Kingdom Hearts. I can't right now I'm working on a live stream of Kingdom Hearts games, and then they want me to cover and then I'm making a list of games that they want me to play. Like they want me to play the Batman games, the Arkham series. Okay. Yeah, like to honor the late Kevin Conroy, who the voice of Batman in the animated shows, the games, like just about everywhere as far as Batman animation. He passed away last year, so I'm thinking everybody's saying play those games, Don. Do it for Kevin Conroy. So,
how old was he when he passed away?
Oh, he wasn't even that old. Let me look at it.
Yep, see, Sarah just wrote, I still miss Kevin Conroy.
Let's see, Kevin Conroy. He was 1955. 66.
Okay, so same age as like my mom was born.
Yeah, 66, so years old. Yeah, he wasn't even that old. And I mean, that guy was one of the voices of my childhood. Like I remember seeing the Batman animated series from the 90s, Mask of Phantasm. That was all him.
Yeah. Jeez, it was like my mom's age. Jeez. Maybe they could have a zombie killing spree game show. Oh, my God. Check this out. Irene had just wrote, her son was born on Friday. It's the 13th day in July. He sees spirits. Check that out. Hey, Thomas.
Hey, Thomas.
I'm sorry. I just got to go back to this comment quickly. That Mr. Mackey from South Park.
I think it's like referring to the idea that Chris was like hallucinating Jason coming back. Yeah. Drugs are bad. Okay.
We should have brought that up when we were talking about the marijuana sequence in that movie.
Yeah. Like, when all the characters were trying to ingest marijuana to avoid getting caught by the cops, swallowing all the evidence, like so dumb. Yeah, just be like,
you shouldn't eat that because those are bad.
Those are bad. Eating drugs is bad, okay? It's bad, so don't be bad. So don't be bad, okay? Oh my god. Oh, that's right.
Jason,
Kevin Conroy died November 10th, 2022. So it wasn't that long ago.
yeah, it wasn't even that.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. I mean, I'm sad about that. One of the voices of my childhood, like I said.
yep. See now what Jeremy said when Jason became a zombie. You didn't really. I don't think he's really necessarily a zombie. What did you usually refer to him as?
We covered this before. Jason, I don't think he should be characterized as a zombie. A zombie implies like coming back from a virus or something and spreading a plague. That's not the case here. In Jason's case,
cause.
yeah, in Jason's case, he came back in with like in a supernatural sort of a way, and is come back with a purpose. He has like a mission. He has like a reason for doing what he does. So I think Jason fits more into the cat. Like, I think he's more like a revenant.
Yeah, and he still has his consciousness, so that adding to that too. Jeremy's like, I'm surprised they didn't do a movie where Jason and Pam were, let's say, revenants were on a killing spree.
Yeah,
vengeance monsters. And yes, Sarah, it is true. Not all zombies are viral. It is sometimes caused by. There are times where they can also be caused by a supernatural case.
Yeah, to me, I to this day believe that Jason is more like a revenant.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm sorry, I forgot to show Irene's here. Character that looks like Jason is my father-in-law. Jeez.
I forgot to mention, Jason in this movie is played by British actor Richard Brooker.
Okay.
Who I believe had passed away in 2013. I believe I saw him before when we went to what was it? Fangoria Horror Convention, where they held all the actors who played Jason throughout the movies. And Willem Gillette was there. Yeah, Willem Gillette was there. Kane Hodder was there. Yes, like just about all the actors. And like my favorite moment with them was one of the audience members when they did a Q&A. One of the audience says, "What was your favorite Friday the 13th movies for each of you?" And Willem Gillette said, "My favorite was part 2 because he was in part 2." And then Richard Brooker remember and then Richard Brooker said, "Mine was part 3 because he was in part 3." And of course, Kane Hodder. Oh man, what a legend!
And well, and here's the thing: I don't really know if I don't really remember that because I know we went to Fangoria's Weekend of Horrors. That was back in 2009. I really don't remember that, to be honest.
Or it could be Flashback Weekend because
maybe it was Flashback, but I don't remember that either.
Yeah, it was one of those, but I do. I remember.
Unless you must have gone on a separate occasion that I wasn't there. I don't know.
No, there was no separate occasion. I remember because I took my college girlfriend there.
Well, that would have been 2012 then that we went, because that was the last time we went. Which, by the way, we got to see who's all coming out to Flashback Weekend this year.
We should.
Which, I did try. I'm just going to say this: I did try getting Jeremy to come out. I think it was. I don't know if it was last year, or maybe it was the year before, when the actors, like two of the actors that played the killer clowns from Outer Space was going to be there. And I remember thinking to myself, oh my God, Jeremy's got to come out to this thing. Like I almost begged for him and wanted to come out because he also found out one of the actors played one of his favorite clowns, but he couldn't make it out that weekend. So I'll have to check again to see if they're going to be back.
For sure. And so to wrap this up, like at the end of the movie, like of course, finally authorities arrive on scene to basically clean up the aftermath of Jason's killing spree, and then they could take Chris in, like take her to the hospital, and she's like in a hysterical state, like screaming and laughing, and like that girl was like extremely traumatized by what happened. And
you would tell it was like she was never going to recover or ever get over this because now it was just getting worse.
Yeah, all of her friends were slaughtered, and her boyfriend's dead. Like, man, it's like she tried to. And the irony of it is, he tried to go back to that spot that she was traumatized originally to try to get over trauma, and only to have it become worse.
Yep. So don't ever bring her back. Speaking of Jason, by the way, I just went on Flashback Weekend right now, and from what I can tell you, as far as Friday the 13th, Kane Hodder is going to be there. Saturday only, though.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because
he's
Kane Hodder.
He's only going to be there for one day.
Oh yeah, great Kane Hodder. Yeah, great guy. Yeah, like he's not as tall. I think I mentioned this before in the podcast. He's not as tall as depicted in the movies, but he has the build of a wrestler, dude. He's buff, seriously. And like I'm not even joking. The grip he has when you shake his hand, no joke.
I'm surprised he never went like on a wrestling career as far as like doing his horror film stuff. I'm really surprised he never did this. So
yeah, I guess that just wasn't his thing. You know, he wanted to put his his physique to use in movies, playing intimidating characters. That was his thing.
Well, you know who we should eventually have on the show, because I know someone who's really good friends with Kane Hodder, and I've told you about him before. Yeah, he should have been a wrestler, Jeremy. You know, I've brought him up before, and Jeremy knows this guy too, because both me and Jeremy are really good friends of his. Is Rick McCallum, who's actually been a stuntman in some of the Friday the 13th movies. He's appeared on some of our shows here on this network, and I've spoken to him a number of times, and he's also really good friends with Kane Hodder. So if given a chance, and whenever you want to do this, Don, maybe eventually one day we could have Rick McCallum on as a guest, and he could explain some of the things that he's done, and not only, of course, the Friday the 13th movies, but some of the other films that he's done. Yep, see, Jeremy agrees 100%.
Yeah, I would love that. Yeah, like
you'll have to get your questions ready though.
Yes, for sure. And what's this guy? What's this guy's name again? So I remember.
Rick McCallum. What I'll do is, you know what? I mean, because I'm also friends with him on Facebook. As soon as we get off here, I'll send you a link to his profile so you can friend him.
Oh, awesome. Well, the thing is, he probably. Well, the thing is, I don't think he like knows me though. So
I could send him a message and let him know that, at least let him know that, you're going to send a friend request. He's a good friend. I'll just say that you're a good friend of mine, and that he actually runs a show of his own. And at some point, we'd like to have you on the show. We'll figure it out.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But okay. Yeah, here's your name. Here's his name for you. So thank you. Excuse me. Thanks, Jeremy.
Okay. Awesome. Thanks. Yeah. So, yeah, Friday the 13th, part 3. What more is there to say about it? It's fun to watch despite the cheesiness. It's like the with the super obvious 3D moments, like and like the characters are dumb, but Jason. But if it's like the only thing that makes up for it is like the shock factor of the film. Jason going after all these dumb people.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Doesn't need to see up there. You go. He doesn't need to know you. He loves doing shows with people, whether he knows you personally or not. Yeah, he is.
Okay.
That's the other thing too. He's very funny too. He's full of good jokes. So whatever jokes he tells you, you got to take it because they're good jokes.
All right, I got you. It's just that with Facebook, I'm just careful with who I send. Like onto a friend request to, because it's like I don't want to send it to somebody I don't know. So then people are just go like, wait, who is this guy?
Trust me. Once you add him, I promise you, you're gonna be telling me like, I'm so glad I added him.
All right, cool. But to wrap this up, Friday the 13th Part 3, it definitely has its place in the history of that franchise. It's like they like Richard Brooker played a great Jason. God rest his soul. And like this was this I gotta say was definitely not as bad as a good majority of the sequels, but so that's one of the redeeming qualities it has, and the fact that it introduces the hockey mask that Jason will wear throughout the franchise as it goes, and and again, great music work from Manfredini, who created the that that we see throughout the series. Yeah, great music by him. Yeah, so Friday the 13th Part 3 definitely worth seeing. It's cheesy but brutal at the same time.
there was something I was gonna play right before the end of the show, but I actually am concerned about maybe playing it like after final chapter, because there actually is a story. I didn't do this one. It is a public story, by the way, but um it's it kind of has that Friday the 13th theme to it that I'd like to play on the show eventually. Again, not tonight, but maybe like next show. But it's actually from that website, Chilling Tales for Dark Nights. But it definitely borrows a lot of elements from Friday the 13th, especially part 3. But it also borrows elements from the like Axe Murder Hollow legend. So eventually, again, I don't have it with me right now, but I got to play one of these days.
Right. And also the way this is advertised, like, well, like, you know what? Let's just pull up the trailer here for this movie here, like, to wrap this up, just to give you a like how they really wanted to.
Just
They really want.
before we wrap up, I just want to give the updates about what's going to be going on for the rest of the week. Okay, we can do it afterwards. It's fine.
Oh yeah, I was about to say right as you were saying that it was already loading up.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So here's the trailer for Friday the 13th, part 3. Like this, just to give you an idea how this was like advertised, like trying to throw in 3D.
Put it on full screen.
Weekends are a good time to escape to the woods. Unless the weekend begins with Friday the 13th. Because 13 is an unlucky number. But out here, so are 1 through 12. Because these are Jason's woods. And nobody leaves them alive. Friday the 13th, part 3 in 3D. Jason, you can't fight him. You can't stop him. And now, you can't even keep him on the screen. Friday the 13th, part 3 in 3D. Now, when it comes to killing in Jason's woods, Jason will come to you. Friday the 13th, part 3 in 3D. A new dimension in terror. It will scare you. Count on it.
Opened on Friday the 13th.
Yep, right on time.
Nice.
So I just wanted to let you know, I didn't want to say it while the trailer was playing from my side. The trailer was going a little slow, but as the trailer as it pressed on, it started going normal speed. That's what sometimes happens with some of these videos here. They start off kind of slow from our side, but eventually it picks up. But the sound was fine though. It was loud at the beginning, but no, see, Jeremy was talking. It was skipping a little bit, but then eventually went to normal speed. It only lasted for like 20 seconds or so.
Ah, gotcha.
But what I was also suggesting too is you should have you did have a good screen, but what I always do whenever I show videos, I usually always show the full screen.
Ah, I see.
So yeah, see, Jeremy makes a good point too. It's better to download it and play using share video file.
I'll do that next time.
Well, and that's what I always do. For example, like when I play my scary stories here on the show, I always do it through sharing video files instead of watching it through YouTube. But very quickly, just before we get off, so just the announcements quickly. So tomorrow I will be back officially with Nick Files. I got enough slideshows to fill me in for the entire show. We are going to still be focusing on this time part 5 of Athens, Ohio, but I threw in an additional location because I think Jeremy know this already. That guy Brad Webb that has sometimes watched our show, Dom. Brad actually has an investigation coming up this weekend. He's investigating the Rose Opera House, which is in Kentucky, and he actually requested that I did a presentation for that location on my show. Unfortunately, though, I'm not spoiling anything, but surprisingly, as historic as it is, I could not really find a lot of historical or even paranormal information about this place, which is really surprising for such a place. But I'm still going to do it anyway. So that's what's going to be going on tomorrow on Nick Files, and then on Thursday to the Graven. Oh, wait a minute. You know what? I don't think we are doing to the Graven back this week. I think Lois told me that I think we're taking a break this week.
Okay.
But then later on the evening of Supernatural Talk, we do have the Reverend Sean Winnington, who, Don, if you don't know who that is, he also does a show of his own here on this network. He does his shows on Monday evenings and Friday afternoons. So I know he's coming on along with Jeremy. Remind me, who else is coming on with the Rev? Okay, while we're waiting for that, he'll probably say it any second now, though. Might as well just wait. But Rich, okay, there we go. Yeah, Rich Valtz, thank you. And then for this Friday for the Frighteners, we're going to be talking about. I don't know if we're having a guest on for that show, but I do know that we are going to be talking about portals. Yes, promoting the Legion of Exorcists. We'll be having him. That's who we'll be having on Supernatural Talk on Thursday. And yeah, Frighteners, like I said, on Friday, we'll be talking about portals. And I'm not sure exactly which direction it's going to go, but we'll see how things look. So that's all I got coming up for this week.
Okay. And for my end this week, the next live show I'm going to be doing is going to be on Thursday. Because Billy is asking this question, when will I do more Kingdom Hearts 2? I'm going to be live streaming Kingdom Hearts 2 more on Thursday. I think it's going to be like on my usual time at 7 p.m. Central Time. So, yeah, everybody's my live streaming viewers are excited about that because I just beat we just played part of the games where you get to see the level that is the world of Mulan and now Beauty and the Beast, and so that's where I left off. And they got all kinds of people reprising their roles from the Disney movies on there.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's amazing.
Oh yeah, including one of the final roles from the late Pat Morita. Yeah, so like Mr. Miyagi from the Karate Kid. But yeah, he voiced in that game as well, and also Christopher Lee. He voiced one of the villains. Yeah. Yeah, that man is a true legend. One of my favorite British actors of all time. Yeah, so yeah, got that coming up on Thursday, and gonna try to make another more reaction videos tomorrow. That's why I push it to Thursday, the live stream. So be sure to tune in for that. And next week, FearFans podcast, we may, like Nick. I think you got
because it's the third Tuesday of the month next week. I'm not sure. We'll have to see how things look.
Keep me updated, because if you're free that next Tuesday, we're going to cover Friday the 13th, the final chapter. But no, it's not the actual final chapter, despite what they say. Bunch of liars.
It was originally supposed to be, but it didn't.
Yeah, they just changed their mind. Like, oh, people still love Jason. Okay, let's keep that going. Take advantage of the slasher craze.
And Don, you just got an offer here from Jeremy about this.
I'd like to get you on 13th Dimension and talk about video games. Oh,
that's Jeremy's show.
Okay. Yeah, I'd be interested in that. I've got some knowledge in games. So yeah, let me know. Yeah, because I'm free on Fridays. So yeah, we'll talk about that.
Someone remind me later. I think Sarah's referring to my shows and your shows that are coming up.
I see.
Yeah, Sarah, I'll message you tomorrow for the next episode of Nick Files.
Yes.
Well, I'll put the announcement down like I always do right before the show.
For sure. And as for my video game live stream, that's going to be on my YouTube channel. It's not associated with Things Network. It's just on my YouTube channel. You type in Don Elmy, you'll find it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So this Thursday, I will be going back into Kingdom Hearts 2 because people have been wanting me to go back to playing that again. So I'm giving them more. So thank you guys so much for watching this episode. I've had so much fun with this one. And now we get to go into the next one, which features child actor of the 80s, Corey Feldman, Friday the 13th final chapter, where it's him versus Jason, so I can't wait to talk about that film. This is going to be great. Yep.
You're very welcome, Sarah. You have a great night.
Yep. Good night, Sarah. So everybody, hope you guys enjoyed and have a good night. We'll see you guys on podcast next week. Take care.
And I'll see some of you guys tomorrow on Nick Files. So you guys have a great night.
Good night.